Hi, and welcome to a new episode of your weekly medical TV show on Alkarma TV, Coat. As a continuation of our coverage for COVID-19 or coronavirus, we'll have this episode with you today to get to know more about the virus, how did it start, and all the theories behind it, possibilities of its progression, possible potential treatment and vaccines. Is it going to get better, or we might see a worse second wave? Reopening the countries again and its effect of the curves that started to flatten already around the world. And today we'll discuss the virus from different dimensions in an extraordinary episode. And why it's extraordinary? Because my guest is extraordinary. It's my pleasure and honor today to welcome for the first time in White Coat one of the outstanding infectious disease and virology experts, Dr. James Homans, Associate Professor of Clinical Pediatrics and Co-Director and MCA of Infectious Disease and Virology at USC Keck School of Medicine. For interaction with the program, send in all your questions and concerns to our official Facebook page, Coat Alkarma TV, or if you want to interact with my guest directly with any questions, you can call the numbers that will be shown on the screen at any time during the episode, and we'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. To keep up with us, follow our Facebook page, Coat Alkarma TV, or to follow us on Instagram, you can follow us on Coat Alkarma. And to watch our latest episodes, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Alkarma TV, and activate the notification bell. أعزائي مشاهدي قنوات الكرمة في كل مكان في العالم، بحب أرحب بيكم في حلقة جديدة من برنامجكم الطبي الأسبوعي على شاشات قنوات الكرمة Coat. استكمالا للتغطية اللي بدأناها على كوفيد-19 والحقيقة طلبات حضراتكم إن احنا نعمل دايما أبديتس أو يعني تحديث أسبوعي لكل اللي بيحصل حوالين العالم. النهاردة هيكون معانا حلقة استثنائية جدا، واستثنائية الحلقة دي جاية من مستوى وحجم الضيف اللي موجود معانا النهاردة. معانا النهاردة الدكتور جيمس هومانز. الحقيقة دكتور جيمس هومانز هو أستاذ بيسموها الأمراض المعدية للإنفكشوس ديزيز والفيروسات في واحدة من أكبر الجامعات هنا في كاليفورنيا، جامعة USC. كمان هو واحد من الناس اللي بتحط السياسات والتخطيط للكوفيد-19 يعني بوليسيز بشكل عام في الكاونتي بتاعت لوس أنجلوس. مهم جدا ان احنا يكون معانا حلقة مع ضيف بالحجم ده عشان نعرف، يعني احنا عرفنا في الفترات اللي فاتت جبنا دكاترة كتير جدا اتكلمنا معاهم في مختلف التخصصات. عايزين نعرف الرأي الطبي من خلال واحد من خبراء الفيرولوجي. كمان مهم جدا ان احنا نعرف رأيه في الفترة الجاية من خلال الخبرة بتاعتنا مع الفيروسات اللي ظهرت قبل كده. النهاردة تقريبا هيبقى عندنا حلقة متكاملة عن الفيروس، بدايات ظهوره، ليه هو مختلف عن البانديميكس اللي قبل كده سواء السارس او السواين فلو مثلا اللي ظهروا في اوائل الألفية الجديدة. احتمال تطور الفيروس، هل هنشوف تأثير بعد ما ابتدينا شوية نفتح يعني زي ما بنقول بنفتح البلاد المختلفة، انه يبتدي الاقتصاد يفتح والحركة تفتح تاني مع اول مايو. هنشوف ده تأثيره على الكيرفز اوريدي اللي ابتدت انه هي الارقام تستقر وتقل في دول كتيرة جدا. هل ده هيبقى له تأثير؟ هل نتوقع موجة تانية اقوى من الفيروس مع ان احنا رايحين يعني لشهر من شهر 9 لشهر 12، خصوصا ان دول الثلاث شهور بتوع الفلو سيزون او الانفلونزا. كل ده هو يعني هيجاوب معاه، وهنتوقع هنحط شويه توقعات وسيناريوهات للمرحله اللي جايه كلها من خلال خبرتنا مع البانديميكس اللي حصلت قبل كده. زي ما قلنا لحضراتكم في كل حلقاتنا اللي فاتت، في دايما ابديتس بتحصل، في ميديكيشنز بنستخدمها او في ادويه بنستخدمها. هنتكلم على الادويه دي النهارده. من الاخبار الحلوه جدا ان اوريدي معانا 2 يعني فاكسينز او لقاحات بروميسنج جدا وليهم بوتنشال كبير جدا اللقاح الاولاني الحقيقه ظهر جامعه اوكسفورد في انجلترا هي اللي عملته، واوريدي ابتدينا عملنا اول تجارب او الكلينيكال ترايل اللي هتتعمل على اللقاح ده، عباره عن 800 بيشنت، يعني 800 من مش بيشنت 800 من المتطوعين ان هم يجربوا اللقاح ده على نفسهم، واوريدي اول 2 اتحقنوا باللقاح ده. تعالوا نشوف الفيديو ده مع حضراتكم، ده فيديو لاول 2 في العالم يتم حقنهم باللقاح ده، ونشوف الفيدباك بتاعهم.
32 to a vaccine against coronavirus, a way out for all of us.
Okay, so I need a scratch.
The first volunteer to receive it was Elisa Granato, a microbiologist. She's 32 today.
I'm a scientist, so of course I want to try and support science, the scientific process whenever I can. And since I don't study viruses, I felt a bit useless these days, so I felt like this is a very easy way for me to support the cause. Yeah, that's why I'm here, and I'm excited.
أول حالة في العالم كله يتم حقنها باللقاح بتاع كورونا فيروس. زي ما أنا قلت الكلينيكال ترايل دي بتتكون من 800 بيشنت في إنجلترا هيتم عليهم تجربة اللقاح ده. مش معنى كده انه التجارب دي ابتدت النهارده ان احنا هنشوف اللقاح ده على المدى القريب، ولكن اتليست بنتكلم في 5-6 شهور من دلوقتي، ممكن على اخر السنه دي او بدايه من اكتوبر لاخر السنه دي يبقى عندنا لقاح حقيقي قدام كورونا فيروس. تاني باكد انه ده مش لقاح اوريدي بيبتدي يتاخد عشان بس الاخبار ما تتنقلش غلط، دي تجربه هتتعمل على 800 بيشنت ونشوف الريسبونس بتاعهم للقاح ده. برضو جات لنا اسئله كتير قوي على طريقه اللقاح ده، هل ممكن يبقى سبب انه بيعدي الناس اللي اتجرب عليها دي؟ كل ده هيتشاف في الكلينيكال ترايلز، وطبعا كالمعتاد هنتابع الكلينيكال ترايلز دي مع حضراتكم ونقول لكم اخبارها اول باول. اللقاح الثاني ابتدى هنا اوريدي في جامعه كبيره هنا MIT، وبرضه في الفيز الاولاني لسه، و في يعني بوتنشال كبير وبروميسنج قوي. برضه هنناقش اللقاحين دول مع دكتور هومانز توداي النهارده يعني، و مش بس هنتكلم في كده، هنتكلم زي ما انا قلت توقعاته للفتره الجايه، امتى ممكن نرجع للطبيعي ولا عمرنا ما هنرجع للشكل اللي كنا عليه قبل كده من خلال خبرته مع كل البانديميكس او الفيروسات اللي قبل كده. برضه نوهنا في حلقه قبل كده مع حضراتكم انه هيبقى في تاثيرات كبيره جدا في كل العالم، يعني السياسه العامه هتتغير، الاقتصاد العام حوالين العالم هيتغير. ابتدينا امبارح يعني حاجه بره الفورمات شويه، ان احنا لقينا وزاره الخارجيه الامريكيه من 3 ايام ابتدت تبعت للصين تقول ان احنا عندنا قلق بالغ جدا، يا ريت نحط اللينك معانا، وفي اوبشن كمان ان احنا يعني نحطه بالعربي. اللينك باختصار شديد بيقول ان الولايات المتحده بتبلغ عن قلقها بشأن الحريات في الصين، وخصوصا اطلاق سراح بعض النشطاء منهم، يعني النشطاء اللي كانوا دايما بيتكلموا على الكورونا فيروس والكلام ده، لانه زي ما احنا قلنا من الحلقه اللي فاتت ان الصين بتحط تشديدات كبيره جدا على اي نوع من الريسيرش او على اي نوع من اي حد يبتدي يتكلم على الكورونا فيروس ازاي ابتدى واتطور. الولايات المتحده بعتت الكلام ده من 2-3، ويبدو ان زي ما بنقول الجيم هيبتدي بشكل كبير جدا، وكالعاده الجيم السياسي بيبتدي بفكره القلق على الحريات والنشطاء في البلاد دي، وهنشوف الموضوع هيتطور ازاي. قلت بس اجيب الخبر ده لحضراتكم لانه هنحتاجه الفترات الجايه وهنرجع له، وافكر حضراتكم بيه انه هتبتدي بدايه مش عايز اقول معركه طويله، ولكن يعني هتبقى بدايه تغيرات كتيره جدا في العلاقات بين كل دول العالم والصين، وهنشوفها الفترات الجايه بشكل كبير. مش عايز اعمل مقدمه طويله لانه زي ما انا قلت عايزين نستغل وجود ضيف بالحجم ده معانا النهارده ونساله كل الاسئله اللي في بالنا وبال حضراتكم. زي ما حضراتكم عارفين كل استفساراتكم اسئلتكم تقدروا تبعتوها لنا على صفحتنا الرئيسيه على الفيسبوك كوت الكرمة TV، وزي ما باكد كل المسج كونفيدنشال زي الصفحه ما ظاهره قدام حضراتكم، تقدروا تبعتوا لنا كل اسئلتكم واستفساراتكم عليها. كمان زي ما انا قلت للتواصل نفس الصفحه تقدروا تتواصلوا معنا، او صفحتنا على الانستجرام كوت الكرمة، او لو حضراتكم عايزين دايما تسالوا اسئله وتعملوا سبورت كبير للكارما البلاتفورم المهمه جدا يوتيوب، تقدروا دايما تعملوا سبسكريبشن على قناتنا على اليوتيوب عشان توصل لكم احدث الحلقات من كل البرامج. لو عايزين تشوفوا حلقات وايت كود بالتحديد تقدروا تروحوا على البلاي ليست، و هيظهر قدام حضراتكم البلاي ليست بتاع برنامج وايت كود. كل الحلقات اللي عملناها هتلاقوها دايما في البلاي ليست، تقدروا ترجعوا لأي حلقة من الحلقات دي وتشوفوا أي موضوع طبي يخصكم أو يهمكم إن انتوا تسمعوا عنه. زي ما أنا بقول مستنيين تواصل حضراتكم، كل أسئلتكم اللي في بالكم عن كورونا فيروس هنجاوبها النهاردة، لأنه زي ما أنا قلت الضيف استثنائي. ربنا يدينا حلقة مختلفة وتكون مفيدة جدا لحضراتكم، ويلا بينا نبتدي فقرات برنامجنا النهاردة من وايت كود.
شارك معنا في عمل الرب في قناة الكرمة بالدعم من أي مكان في العالم عن طريق الكريدت كارد. ادخل على موقع القناة alkarmatv.com، اضغط على كن شريكا، ثم اضغط على Buy Credit Card، وبمجرد دخولك على صفحة الدعم سيتحول المتصفح بتاعك إلى متصفح آمن HTTPS. لو حبيت التقدمة دي تكون مرة واحدة اضغط هنا، ولو تحب إنها تكون شهرية اضغط هنا. ادخل مبلغ التقدمة ثم اضغط Next. ادخل بياناتك الشخصية ثم تأكد من أن البيانات المدخلة كلها صحيحة، ثم اضغط على Next. ادخل بيانات الكريدت كارد الخاص بيك ثم اضغط Submit Payment، وبكده تكون شاركت في توصيل كلمة المسيح للملايين حول العالم. من غير صلاتك ودعمك ما كناش أنتجنا كل البرامج دي. محتاجين لمشاركتك لاستمرار الإنتاج.
So there's a condition called amblyopia, and that's the case in which even with the perfect pair of glasses, the kid does not.
You were born with it, you have it, this is extra.
Pigment is actually important in the pathway from the brain to the eye as the baby is developing in the mother.
People describe a discomfort, usually in the upper part of the abdomen.
Okay.
Very often it's related to meals, so meals seems to make it.
Good candidates for orthokeratology are generally people who have a risk of increase.
When we talk about the problems of, or the definition of ADD, there are three components.
Okay.
They are, of course.
What's regenerative medicine?
Regenerative medicine is a rather new branch within the whole ecosystem.
Mondays never come. Of course, they never come if you're not ready.
Okay.
If you are not ready to make a change, they don't come. And if you're not ready to make the right change, they will
have
never.
a multitude of symptoms, including memory loss, language issues, thought process issues, behavioral
So if you
issues.
have high blood pressure, make sure that you take your doctor's advices very seriously. Basically, there are three things that you need to do. One is control your diet. Number two, do some exercise. And number three, see your physician.
But we need to emphasize that there are children who can be diagnosed with arthritis at very young ages.
So majority of people between 30.
Rheumatoid arthritis is a part of arthritis. Arthritis means inflammation of the joint, mean red, hot, swollen joint.
Okay.
Rheumatoid is one part of arthritis out of hundreds of arthritis. Okay. And rheumatoid especially is an autoimmune disease, which means the immune system attacking the body specifically.
هدفنا مش كثرة أقمار صناعية، لكن هو توصيل الكتاب المقدس لكل شبر في الأرض.
أنت أهم واحد في الحياة، لأنك ممكن تغير العالم كله. مش مصدق؟ فكر لو عملت شير لفكرة على الفيسبوك، كل أصحابك هيشوفوها. فكر كمان لو كل واحد من أصحابك نشر الفكرة لأصحابه، وأصحابه نشروها لأصحابهم. فكرتك البسيطة سهل جدا تنتشر. ده ممكن تكون نهضة، مش بس تنتشر، تغير في ناس كتير في العالم كله. شارك النهاردة وشير من على فيسبوك الكرمة الرسالة دي.
لما بتعطي دايما بهدف، أو عشان تسد احتياج معين لشخص معين أو مكان معين. لما بتعطي في الكرمة مش بتعطي شخص ولا حتى مكان، انت بتشارك في رسالة حب، وبتشارك في نشر السلام، بتشارك في تنفيذ وصية إلهك. ما تتأخرش لما تجيلك فرصة، اعطي بس من قلبك.
اهلا بحضراتكم في الفقره الرئيسيه النهارده اللي هنتكلم فيها زي ما انا قلت كل التحديثات اللي في العالم على كوفيد 19. وزي ما انا قلت الحجم الضيف النهارده بيخلينا يعني سعداء جدا انه يكون معانا حد بالحجم ده يقدر يجاوب على كل الاسئله اللي بتبقى يعني موجوده في دماغنا على كوفيد 19 او كورونا فيروس بشكل عام. زي ما بنوه كل مرة انه الحلقة هتبقى بالعربي وبالانجليزي او بالانجليزي اساسا، وكل حاجة هتترجم بعد كده للعربي لكل اللي باعتين يسألوني انه الترجمة دايما تبقى يعني قدر الامكان بعد كل سؤال هنترجم كل حاجة مع حضراتكم. It's my pleasure and honor to welcome for the first time in Code Dr. James Homans. It's a pleasure and honor having you, sir, today.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
A lot of questions. COVID-19 is the hot topic for the hour. In the beginning, a lot of people, they don't know that Corona is a big family of viruses. And we had a lot of pandemics before regarding from that family specifically. So in the beginning, if you can give us some examples of famous pandemics we had from this family, and what is coronavirus?
We'll answer your second question first. Coronaviruses are a family of viruses. I think there's 6 of them that cause disease in humans. 3 or 4 of them tend to cause minor disease, common cold, occasionally pneumonia. But there are 3 major ones which have caused pandemics in humans in the last 20 years.
Okay.
These are viruses that are also carried by animals, particularly bats. But many other animals can harbor them, and in some cases they can cause disease in other animals. Bats are the particular reservoir that seems to be important in transmission to humans. So the major epidemics in the last 20 years have been what was called SARS, which occurred in 2002 about, and which was located in the Far East, China in particular, and led to several thousand deaths and many cases of disease, but eventually did not cause a worldwide pandemic.
Okay.
There subsequently in 2012 there was another epidemic called the MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, which was also due to a coronavirus that seemed to come out of the Middle East and seemed to be associated with camels, dromedary camels, as the environmental reservoir, and also killed several thousand people, but did not become a worldwide pandemic. There were a few cases in the Far East in Korea. Those 2 epidemics led to a great concern about coronaviruses as something that could cause more severe widespread disease in humans, and there was a lot of work on them at the time. I think we could say that the COVID-19 or SARS coronavirus 2, as it's also known, was eventually going to happen. So those are the 3 major pandemics that I know of related to coronaviruses. There may have been others in the past. It's not clear to me.
بيرفكت. الحقيقه اول سؤال ليا لدكتور هومنز كان عن الكورونا فاميلي. يمكن واحنا قلنا ده كتير من حضراتكم ما يعرفش انه كورونا ده مش مقصود بيه بس الفيروس اللي موجود، عشان كده حطينا له اسم تاني او سميناه كورونا المستجد او كوفيد 19 عشان ده واحد من عيله كبيره جدا اسمها عيله الكورونا. يعني على مستوى التاريخ زي ما قال دكتور هومنز عباره عن 6 فيروسات كبار بسببوا كتير من يعني المشاكل، ولكن كورونا بشكل عام بتسبب اعراض شبه البرد. ال6 فيروسات بيتشابهوا في بداية الأعراض. زي ما قال إنه في بداية الألفينات ظهر منها السارس زي ما سميناه في وقتها، يمكن ما قتلش كتير من الناس. بعد كده بعد السارس ظهر حاجة اسمها الميرس، ودي كانت خاصة بالميدل إيست بشكل كبير. جزء ثالث ظهر انفلونزا الخنازير. فكل ده كل البانديميكس اللي بتحصل دي او اللي بنسميها بالعربي الجائحة حصلت بسبب عيلة الكورونا بشكل عام وسببت مشاكل كتيرة. كوفيد 19 واحد من العيلة الكبيرة دي اللي سميناها كورونا فيروس. So since you mentioned two big pandemics, SARS and swine flu, for example, why or what's COVID-19 specifically, and why it's different from SARS and swine flu or MERS, for example?
Well, again, SARS was a limited epidemic which caused disease for the most part, in Asia, in China and some other Asian countries, but did not become worldwide. The swine flu, that's a different kind of virus. It's an influenza virus that was a pandemic. It occurred in 2012, or no, 2009. It was due to the emergence of a new form of influenza virus. The influenza viruses are the viruses that cause flu, with a different type than humans were used to seeing. That led to millions of cases in the world and many fatalities, including 15,000 in the United States and perhaps 500,000 throughout the world. So it was a pretty serious epidemic that caused a lot of death. The difference between the current SARS COVID-19 or SARS coronavirus 2 and these other epidemics is that it is more transmissible than the SARS agent, than the MERS agent, or than even the swine flu, H1N1 influenza, leading to it being very efficiently transmitted to many people throughout the world with many asymptomatic cases. And it has high virulence, such that many of those people, though not certainly only a small minority, but many of the people who become infected will get very sick, and some will die. So the difference is that it has increased transmissibility. It's more contagious than those other two, MERS or SARS. Even the common influenza, according to Dr. Anthony Fauci, it's maybe 10 times more transmissible than the common influenza, and also maybe 10 times more virulent than the common influenza that's circulating currently. The comparison for COVID-19 would be the influenza epidemic of 1917 through 1919, the so-called Spanish flu, which killed 20 million people in a world where there were perhaps only 1 billion people total. That was highly transmissible and also caused disease and death in people in the younger age range, in the prime of life, rather than at in the extremes of life, in the very young or very old.
Okay.
That would be the major comparison.
Okay. الحقيقة برضه سؤالي التاني لدكتور هومنز كان عن ليه شوية الكوفيد 19 اللي احنا شايفينه مختلف عن البانديميكس اللي شفناها قبل كده، زي السارس، زي انفلونزا الخنازير، زي الميرس اللي احنا اتكلمنا مع حضراتكم عليها، برغم ان كلهم يعني بينتموا لنفس العائله، باستثناء طبعا انفلونزا الخنازير لانها شويه مختلفه. قال لي الاختلاف الاساسي بيكمن في فكره يعني الريت بتاع العدوى نفسه، زي ما هو قال انه طبقا لدكتور فاوتشي اللي هو دايما بيكون مع الرئيس هنا في كل مؤتمراته الصحفية، وطبقا للتقديرات بتقول انه كوفيد 19 او كورونا فيروس تقريبا اكتر 10 مرات في نسبة العدوى او في سرعة نقل العدوى من السارس مثلا على سبيل المثال، وبالتالي عدد الاصابات وعدد الوفيات منه كانت اكتر بكتير جدا. So what are the main symptoms and signs for COVID-19, and is there any different symptoms and signs for COVID-19 than flu, for example?
It would be very difficult to distinguish COVID-19 from influenza. The signs and symptoms, cough is the main, usually a dry cough, sometimes productive, sore throat, fever, headache are the main initial signs and symptoms of COVID-19 infection. It can look very much like a cold or the flu, depending on whether someone has fever, and I should add body aches. It does not seem to cause a lot of nasal congestion, but it certainly can do that as well. So anyone with cold symptoms in our current situation could certainly have COVID-19, and if there's fever and shortness of breath, that would make you very concerned.
More suspicious than other kind of like prodromes for other viruses.
But it really presents very similar to many other viruses, and the other coronaviruses, the ones that have decreased virulence, present much the same way.
Okay. هي برضه سؤالي دكتور هومنز كان عن الأعراض بتاعة كوفيد-19، وهل هي يعني ايه اللي ممكن يكون مختلف فيها عن الانفلونزا على سبيل المثال او اي عدوى فيروسيه تانية. قال لي من الصعب جدا ان احنا نفرق في الاعراض، لانه معظم الفيروسات بتتشابه في اعراضها، وتحديدا الحراره، وجود درجه حراره، كحه، احيانا احتقان في الانف، زي ما قال مش كتير قوي فكره الاحتقان في الانف دي مع الكورونا فيروس، ولكن للاسف انه الاعراض كلها بتتشابه بشكل كبير. So if we had a quick overview over the statistics around the world, and those numbers, we by far exceeded like 2 million now, or maybe we're very close to 3 million infection around the world. What does it mean to you if we have like overlook on those statistics specifically?
Well, those are the diagnosed infections, so people who are symptomatic who are tested. It may be the tip of the iceberg. There may be many other people who've been infected that have not been tested because they are not having symptoms severe enough to be tested or have not been exposed. So the major, so perhaps 2 million, it's going up each day, diagnosed infections with about 200,000 deaths so far in this pandemic. Occurring all around the world, and as we're aware, 50,000 deaths in the United States so far, with the count climbing. And no end in sight. If you look at the curve, it seems to still be going up. It hasn't
flattened
yet. The number of cases, it still seems to be increasing. The rate of cases in the world still seems to be accelerating, rather than the curve does not appear to be flattening out yet. So that would say to me that there's going to be many more cases and many more deaths throughout the world in the next few months at least.
So possibly we might see increased cases like in the next few months, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Because the curves are not flattened yet, because all the news that we have been hearing lately saying the curves are flattened and it's getting better.
Well, it depends on the geographic region.
Right.
We see that in China, where it emerged first, by very stringent measures of quarantine and isolation, identifying cases, they were able to prevent transmission to people in the rest of the country for the most part, leading to limiting the number of deaths to, I forget the exact number, maybe 5,000 or 6,000. though now there's concerns that it may be coming back. Korea, the same thing. In other countries, each country, each region is experiencing its own epidemic, and the cases are rising. Some have already reached their peak for now and are coming down, say Italy. Others are still rising, and in the United States, the same is happening. There's many different regions in the United States, and some, New York, for instance, seem to be flattening out, seem to have reached their peak and may be coming down. California, because of the fairly stringent measures that the state of California has taken, there have not been as many cases and deaths as were expected. The hospitals have not been overwhelmed as yet. However, there's still a steady rate of cases, and we may see more, and depending on the area that you're in, there may be a different epidemiology. It all depends on the particular measures that are taken in the particular area. Areas where the population that are more thickly populated, like New York, may have more rapid epidemics. Areas, rural areas or suburban areas where people are not quite so close together may have a slower rise in cases, but everyone is susceptible to this virus, and it's highly transmissible, so we would expect to see transmission in anywhere in the world.
But overall in the United States, you haven't seen that the curves started to flatten yet overall?
They are saying that the curve is starting to flatten, but it's still, the total number of cases is rising, and new areas are being
identified.
Identified, that's a good word. So if you look at the curve in the United States, the number of new cases may be slowing down, but the number of cases is still rising.
بالحقيقة برضو سؤالي لدكتور هومنز كان عن الإحصائيات اللي احنا شايفينها على مستوى العالم. تقريبا وصلنا ل 2.9 مليون حالة على مستوى العالم. طبعا بالنسبة لعدد الوفيات عدينا ل 200 ألف حالة. ده رقم كبير جدا، فبقول له رؤيتك للأرقام دي عاملة ازاي؟ فقال لي طبعا نتيجة زي ما احنا قلنا انه تقريبا الفيروس اكتر 10 مرات في سرعة العدوى من الفيروسات التانية. ابتدينا نشوف انه الكيرف بيزيد بشكل كبير جدا. كمان قال لي بعض المناطق الجغرافية على مستوى العالم ابتدى الكيرف او الحالات فيها تقل بشكل عام. ذكر تحديدا الصين، ولكن قال انه الصين رجع دلوقتي تاني فيها نسبة الحالات تزيد. ذكر كوريا الجنوبية ان هم فكرة الميجرز القوية اللي هم حطوها ساعدت بشكل كبير، ولكن الصين ابتدت ترجع تزيد تاني. سألته تحديدا على الولايات المتحدة، قال لي انه كل اللي بيتقال في فكرة انه الكيرفز بتفلاتند او بتقل طبقا لكل منطقة جغرافية. بالنسبة تحديدا لنيويورك ابتدت الكيرف فيها فعلا يفلاتن، نفس الحكاية في كاليفورنيا، ولكن بعض الولايات التانية الكيرف فيها بيزيد بشكل كبير جدا. ولكن بشكل عام او برؤية عامة على الولايات المتحدة هو مش شايف انه الكيرف بيفلاتن ولا حاجة. في حالات كتير ابتدت تزيد، ولكن برضو ذكر انه فكرة معدل الوفيات بشكل عام ابتدى يقل. So since he mentioned the East Coast, New York and New Jersey, Pennsylvania, what happened? Like what happened in the beginning to those states? Why they had higher number of cases, higher number of fatality rate?
It's not entirely clear to me. In New York and New Jersey, there were a lot of people. They've looked at where the virus came from. They're able to do that by looking at the particular characteristics of the particular virus. There are subtle differences in the genetic material of virus all over the world. In New York, when they looked at the virus that was causing disease there, they found that it was the virus that had been causing disease in Europe before that, rather than the virus that had come directly from China and the Far East.
So there's different strains of the virus?
No, it's all the same strain, SARS,
COVID,
coronavirus 2. But there still are changes, the virus does change over time. The DNA changes, and they're able to, by sequencing the DNA and looking at it with computers, they're able to see where different strains of virus came from. They can make maps and look all over the world and are able to determine how viruses came to be in particular areas. So the virus that was causing disease in New York seemed to come from Europe. And as you recall, there was a major outbreak in various parts of Europe, especially Italy, and a lot of people, Spain as well, a lot of people were returning from there to New York before the borders were closed, and these were people that did not have symptoms. The COVID-19 has a long incubation period. People can be infected, can be carriers for a while before developing symptoms, or can be infected and never have symptoms. But these people can still transmit to other people. So the thought is that people came from other areas where there were outbreaks without knowing that they were infected, and then transmitted to other people without knowing that there was transmission occurring. And then a few weeks later, 1 to 3 weeks later, the people that were transmitted to, many of them became sick. And then because of local transmission, the epidemic was amplified rapidly, leading to the huge amount of cases that were seen there. The same thing happens anywhere, but it takes so long for symptoms to be manifested that you can have many undiagnosed infections in an area that can then transmit to other patients and lead to an epidemic where there seem to be no cases before. For instance, in California, they now have identified the first 2 people that died of coronavirus as having died several weeks before the beginning of the epidemic in Santa Clara County, rather than in other areas of the West Coast, Seattle, and in the Bay Area. There were 2 that were identified there that had died, and it wasn't known why they had died, that had died several weeks before the beginning of the major part of the epidemic. So it was already in California, already in the United States, weeks before the high concern was raised, weeks before measures were taken.
Okay. So banning China specifically, or people coming from China to the East Coast, you think like we should ban like the whole, like all kind of flights, even from Europe too? That would have helped more?
I really can't speak to that. It was already here when the order was made to stop travel from afflicted areas. The virus was already in the United States, and that was not going to stop it. This is such a highly transmissible virus, and there's so much travel between places, it would have been impossible to keep it out of the United States. It may be that if in late December they had banned all travel from areas, afflicted areas, including the Far East, including Europe, it may be that there would have been less cases and the curve would not gone up as rapidly in the United States. This is speculation on my part, but it would have been impossible to prevent it from happening completely.
برضو السؤال اللي كان مهم جدا وبيطرح نفسه هو فكرة ايه اللي حصل في الساحل الشرقي تقريبا هنا في الولايات المتحدة. ولايات كتيرة لقينا فيها حالات كبيرة جدا مرة واحدة، تحديدا نيويورك، نيوجيرسي، بنسلفانيا، كل دول لقينا فيهم حالات كتيرة جدا. سألته في رأيك ايه اللي حصل في الولايات دي، قال لي انه الفيروس اوريدي يعني كان انتشر او ابتدى يحصل انتشاره في اوروبا. فكره ان احنا يعني نمنع الناس اللي جت من الصين، بس برضو كان يعني اوريدي زي ما حضراتكم عارفين نيويورك اول نقطه في الساحل الشرقي واقرب نقطه لاوروبا، فكان ابتدى يحصل كمان ترانسميشن من الناس اللي جايه تسافر من اوروبا لهنا. سالته هل لو احنا منعنا الرحلات اللي كانت من اوروبا كمان جنب فكره ان احنا نمنع الرحلات من الصين كان قلل الاعداد شويه. قال لي انا ما اقدرش احدد بالتحديد ايه الميجرز اللي كانت ممكن تحصل فتقلل ده، ولكن حتى اذا احنا عملنا ده كان الفيروس اوريدي موجود هنا وابتدى انه الناس تنقله لبعضها. وقال لي كمان انه ان احنا لقينا هنا 2 في كاليفورنيا اوريدي اتوفوا، ما كناش قادرين نحدد سبب واضح للوفاه، ولكن لما رجعوا عملوا دراسات تاني لقوا ان هم توفوا من كورونا فيروس بالتحديد. وده معناه انه الفيروس اوريدي كان موجود جوه الولايات المتحده وابتدى ينتشر حتى مع وجود المنع من الصين، لانه حصل كمان تيار كبير جدا للفيروس ده من اوروبا، وده كان سبب كبير جدا في انه الاعداد دي تزيد في الساحل الشرقي بالتحديد نيويورك، نيوجيرسي، بنسلفانيا. Regarding the mode of transmission, I have 2 major questions for you here. We know for a fact contact and droplet is one of the major transmissions. So in that regard, what kind of precautions we can take to decrease the rate of transmission or prevent infection?
Can I add to my other answer before I answer that?
Of course.
So the only way to have prevented an outbreak of the size of the outbreak we're having now would have been in the United States, would have been to do what they did in South Korea, which was to find every single case, find all of their contacts, and put everyone with infection or with exposure to infection in quarantine. They have in South Korea, and the same thing was done in China, but in South Korea it wasn't quite so draconian. They found all the patients and they found all the contacts of all the patients, and they put everyone in quarantine until there was no more transmission in the country. And that led to to stopping the epidemic much quicker than otherwise would have happened, and to a far fewer deaths than would have happened had they not taken those measures. Okay. So that's what would have what should or what could potentially have been done in the United States to prevent that sort of transmission. Also, everyone in South Korea wore a mask during the whole period. Now that would be very difficult or impossible in the United States because of our belief in personal freedom and perhaps the lack of funding for public health programs that is perhaps more present in Korea, and the fact that we're a much bigger area to cover with far more people.
So tracking every single case and the contacts helped a lot in South Korea and China. From your answer, does it mean we started wearing like masks late here, or it's just a shortage, or how do you see it?
It wasn't clear that masks were effective in preventing transmission of virus, but looking at the experience in Korea and China, where people started to wear masks much earlier and are much more comfortable with wearing masks, that seemed to be an element in the reduction of the rate of transmission in those countries. Perhaps not because the masks prevent someone from actually being exposed to the virus, but because if someone who is wearing a mask makes it less likely that they'll spread to other people.
Okay. Let me translate that part, and that will lead us to the next question about mode of transmission.
The masks have become
standard.
Have become the standard, have become mandatory in California, for instance, and in many states in the United States. Everyone in public places is supposed to be, and in places of business, in public places is mandated to wear a mask. Whether or not they do is another question. But most people now wear masks in public, including myself. I didn't initially. I do now.
Okay. الحقيقة برضو يعني استكمالا للإجابة اللي فاتت زي ما قال دكتور هومنز انه الحل الوحيد اللي احنا كنا نقدر يعني نمنع حالات كتيره من انها تحصل ان احنا نعمل زي ما كوريا الجنوبيه عملت، ان احنا بيزيكلي نعمل تراكنج لكل حاله بتحصل وكل الكونتاكتس بتاعتها ونحطهم في العزل، لانه دي الحل الوحيد. قال لي كمان انه واضح انه من دراستنا للموقف بشكل عام انه فكره ارتداء اللي هو الماسك او اللي بنسميه يعني واقي الماسك يعني انه الماسك بشكل عام بيفيد، مش بس ان انت ما تتعديش من غيرك، ولكن اذا انت عندك عدوى ان انت ما تنشرش العدوى دي. سالته يعني اذا حضرتك تفتكر ان احنا ابتدينا نلبس الماسك شويه ليت، قال لي في الاول ما كانش واضح، لانه طبعا زي ما احنا كنا عارفين ان احنا بنتعلم حاجات جديده عن الفيروس، ما كانش واضح دور الماسك قوي، وكنا في الاول بنقول انه يعني الماسك مش مهم، ولكن من الواضح انه الماسك كان مهم جدا، وده شفناه من تجربه كوريا الجنوبيه والصين، انه الناس هناك فكره ارتداء الماسك بدري جدا في البانديميك ساعد بشكل كبير. So from your answer, I'll start my question now. The mode of transmission. We know like one of them is established contact droplets. In that regard, what kind of precautions we can take to prevent like more spread and more infections? And my second part of the question is the airborne part. How do you see it?
Well, I think that it's important to clarify what contact and droplet mean. Right. So this virus is, as are the other coronaviruses and influenza, are transmitted by contact with viruses that are is on surfaces like the surface of a table, utensils, doorknobs, cups, any kind of sort of object. The virus can be put on a surface by someone's hands or by phlegm or saliva or when someone coughs, and then can stay on that surface for many hours and can remain able to infect someone when it stays on that surface for many hours, depending on the type of surface, up to 3 days, my understanding, on stainless steel surfaces.
And plastic are the worst.
Yeah, but still on porous surfaces, the same may be the case. So it doesn't go away. On the other hand, disinfectants, even bleach or soap and water, will destroy the virus very quickly. So cleansing surfaces does get rid of the presence of viruses. So when one touches a surface that has the virus on it and then with one's hand or usually lips, and then touches one's eyes or nose, the interior of the nose or mouth, then one has inoculated oneself, and the virus will eventually come in contact with its target cells and be able to cause an infection in that person. And it's highly able to do that. More than, as we said, more than the other SARS and MERS, more than influenza,
10 times,
more than almost any virus that I know of, it's able to do that. So the other major mode of transmission is, so that's contact on things that you touch. The other one is
droplets.
Is droplet, which is droplets that are expelled, propelled out from someone when they cough or sneeze, and then can come in contact with, be breathed in, or come rest on the eyes or in the nose or in the mouth of another person, and then transmission occurs. Now, the usual understanding by physicians is of how far that droplet spread is. It's about 3 to 6 feet, 6 feet being the maximum. However, there's concern that with COVID-19 that it can be transmitted further by that sort of droplet spread. I think there was one statistic that I saw up to 27 feet, but also that coughing and sneezing droplets can lead to contamination of the environment. So that's droplet spread.
Airborne.
So the third mode of spread, which is concerning, is airborne spread. Airborne spread meaning the virus floating in the air and being able to float in the air for minutes to hours and causing infection in people that are far away from one, say more than 6 feet, 10 feet, maybe someone on the other side of the room, some on the other side of a hospital ward. That's the way that certain organisms are transmitted, tuberculosis in particular. Certain viruses are transmitted that way. Measles, varicella are transmitted. It's been well documented that those diseases are transmitted by airborne spread. With COVID-19, it's not so clear that, and most authorities will say that if airborne spread occurs, it's rare. What the concern with COVID-19 is that when someone coughs or sneezes, it can cause aerosols, meaning a lot of very small droplets in the air that can stay in the air for several minutes and can be in a room, say, where a patient was coughing for several minutes or had an invasive procedure, and that aerosol can lead to infection in another person who's more than 6 feet away from the patient.
And some studies suggested they can stay in the air up to like 3 hours.
Well, there was a study that I saw, a letter in the New England Journal of Medicine and some other studies that suggested that it could stay in the air and be viable for a longer period of time, but it has not so far been documented that that is a major route of transmission. And for the most part, in hospitals, the isolation procedures do not protect against airborne spread, which would be a different mode of isolation. The patients would need to be in negative pressure rooms and everyone would need to be wearing a different type of mask.
Specifically, droplets and the concerning for airborne transmission make the mask mandatory at this point?
So again, another confusing area. In the hospital situation, there's different ways of isolating patients. There's what are called contact precautions, which means that people wear a gown and gloves when they're in the and wash hands before and after they're in proximity to a patient. There's droplet precautions, which would mean that someone would need to wear a gown to cover the whole body, gloves, but also a mask, but a surgical mask, which is not quite as protective as another type of mask, an N95 mask. And that person would also wear a protective eyewear, goggles or a face shield, and frequently people will also wear something to cover their hair, a surgical cap. So that would be for droplet spread. If there's a concern for airborne spread, as there is when people are getting procedures that may lead to aerosol generation, such as breathing treatments or bronchoscopy, or any time if a patient is intubated, anytime that system is opened, then people would need to, in addition to the other things I mentioned, wear what's called an N95 mask, which is a mask which fits much tighter to the face and has much smaller holes to allow air to come through than the standard surgical mask. N95 means that it prevents 95% of particles from getting through. that's the type of mask that we wear when someone has diseases that cause airborne spread, such as tuberculosis or measles, varicella.
اوكي. برضو سؤالي المهم جدا واللي فيه ناس كتير جدا بعتت لي على السؤال ده تحديدا، لانه انا جمعت برضو بعض الاسئله من اللي جات لي قبل الحلقه. السؤال عن طريقه انتقال الفيروس بتبقى عامله ازاي، فقال لي في طريقتين مثبتتين. الطريقه الاولى هي الكونتاكتس، ان احنا لما نلمس حاجه كان عليها الفيروس، قال لي اي سطح موجود حوالينا ممكن الفيروس يكون عليه لفترات طويله جدا. بعض الاسطح دي بتبقى لمده 3 ايام. اسوأ انواع الاسطح على الاطلاق هي الستانلس ستيل والبلاستيك، ممكن الفيروس يقعد عليهم لحد 3 ايام. واي لمسه للاسطح دي ممكن ونلمس عينينا، بقنا، مناخيرنا، طبعا بيحصل انفكشن، وده بيخلي الريت عالي جدا. الحاجه الثانيه المهمه جدا هي الدروبلتس، اللي هو الرذاذ بتاع العطس او الكحه او الكلام ده بينقل. وقال لي يعني انا برضو من الحاجات اللي بسمعها جديد مع حضراتكم وتعلمتها منه دلوقتي مع حضراتكم، انه الرذاذ ده احنا كنا بنقول 6 فيت هي اقصى مسافه، وطالما احنا 6 فيت بنبقى في المكان الامن. قال لي انه بعض الدراسات الكتير لقت انه ممكن لحد 27 قدم ممكن يتنقل الكلام ده، وده طبعا بيزود نسبه الانفكشنز بشكل كبيره جدا. وده طبعا كل يوم زي ما انا قلت هتطلع دراسات جديده وتعلمنا حاجات جديده على الفيروس. الطريقه الثالثه اللي قال لي انه يعني فيها شك كبير جدا ان هي بتكون بتنقل الفيروس ولكنها لسه مش documented او محطوطه في يعني في طرق العدوى بشكل كبير جدا، هي فكرة الانتقال عن طريق الهواء. قال لي طبعا دراسات كتيرة اتعملت، منها دراسة جبناها لحضراتكم قبل كده، نيو انجلاند جورنال اوف ميديسن، بتقول انه الفيروس ممكن يقعد في الهواء لفترة 3 ساعات لو واحد كح، والرذاذ بتاع الكحة ده ممكن يقعد في الهواء او عطس او الكلام ده وعنده العدوى دي، ممكن الرذاذ ده يقعد في الهواء لحد 3 ساعات. قال لي لقيناه كمان في بعض المستشفيات، جبنا برضو لحضراتكم الدراسة دي قبل كده من نبراسكا، بتقول انه يعني ممكن يقعد لحد وقت طويل في الهواء. فده برضو لحد دلوقتي بيرفع نسبة الشك جدا في فكرة النقل عن طريق الهواء، وده اللي بيخلي ناس كتيرة تروح لفكرة ال N95 الماسك، عشان ده بيمنع العدوى عن طريق الهواء. I got a lot of questions in our social media, so if you don't mind, I'll transfer to you some of those questions. The first one, or the first bunch of questions, are asking about China reporting. They went from almost 81,000 to almost 0 cases every day, so they're asking how much do you see those reports are valid from your perspective as infectious disease specialist?
I have no way of knowing. I believe that they're fairly valid, seeing that China has opened up the city of Wuhan and that area to commerce, still practicing a lot of precautions. So I believe that the Chinese leadership has looked at their statistics and has come to the conclusion that the outbreak has been quelled in that area. I don't believe that they would open things up if that were not the case, because they have a much larger stake even than the United States. There's 1.4 billion people in China who live very close together. If the pandemic were allowed to continue there, it would lead to a huge human cost and huge financial cost.
The second questions, specifically from elderly people, they're asking about pneumonia vaccine and to what extent it can protect them from catching COVID-19.
The pneumonia vaccine is a vaccine against a bacteria, the Streptococcus pneumoniae, which is the most common bacterial cause of pneumonia in humans, especially older, from the infancy through old age. And that protects against Streptococcus pneumoniae. It's a good vaccine to get. It does not have any specific protection for COVID-19. It does prevent people from getting bacterial pneumonia, which sometimes can occur as a complication of viral pneumonia. So I would say it's a good idea to get it, but to my knowledge, it does not have any, it does not provide any preventive effect for COVID-19 disease.
Thank you so much for that. So Ellie, doctor.
But I would recommend that everyone get, especially older people, get the
pneumonia regardless.
Pneumonia vaccine. There's Prevnar 13 is one, the 13-valent conjugate vaccine. The other one that is recommended is the 23-valent Pneumovax, the 23-valent pneumococcal vaccine. I would recommend that everyone, I think older people are supposed to get the Pneumovax after 55 years of age. Prevnar, people can get earlier in life, but certainly if they've never had it, should get it.
Okay. برضو الحقيقة كان بعض الأسئلة اللي جات لنا قبل الحلقة كتير جدا عن فكرة الريبورتس بتاع الصين، زي ما هو دكتور هومان قال إنه القيادة الصينية عارفة الإحصائيات بتاعتها، وهو بيقول انه من خلال رؤية القيادة الصينية انه لو الحالات ما قلتش بالشكل ده او هم ابتدوا يفتحوا البلد كان سبب مشاكل كتيرة جدا على مستوى الوفيات وعلى مستوى كمان الاقتصاد بشكل كبير جدا. السؤال الثاني اللي جالنا كان خاص بالنيمونيا فاكسين، وبعض الناس بتسأل هل النيمونيا فاكسين ممكن تحميهم؟ فزي ما دكتور هومان قال ان النيمونيا فاكسين ده خاص ببكتيريا، نوع معين من البكتيريا، ملوش اي علاقة بفكرة الحماية من COVID-19 او الكورونا فيروس. My next question is regarding testing.
So just another vaccine. The influenza vaccine is also a very important vaccine for people to get. And a lot of people are resistant to getting it. They believe that it causes flu, which is
That's
not
what
true.
We hear a lot.
But the influenza vaccine does prevent influenza, which is a very disease which kills thousands of elderly people, people of all ages, but especially elderly people in the United States per year, 20, 30,000 depending on the year, and which can be prevented partly by getting the influenza vaccine. Not completely. It's supposed each year they say it's 50%, 60% effective. So that reduces the number of the amount of severe disease by 50 or 60%. So that's good. It reduces one's chance of getting influenza by that much. So that's an important thing, especially now that with the COVID-19 epidemic, it will be difficult to distinguish in the future, in the coming winter, and now the winter in the southern hemisphere, COVID-19 disease from influenza.
Okay. برضو من الحاجات اللي قالها دكتور هومانز انه كل تحديدا كبار السن لازم ياخدوا التطعيمات بتاعتهم كاملة، سواء النيمونيا فاكسين سواء تطعيم الانفلونزا، لأنه قال أنه تطعيم الانفلونزا خصوصا في كبار السن بيحميك بنسبة 50 ل 60% من أنه تجيلك انفلونزا شديدة، وده هيبقى مهم جدا قبل ما ندخل على مرحلة الخريف الجاية، لأنه هيبقى من الصعب أنه التفريق ما بين أعراض الاثنين، وممكن الواحد يجيله الاثنين، فقدر الإمكان ناخد بالنا، وكل كبار السن اللي سامعيني مهم جدا ان احنا ناخد كل الفاكسينز في ميعادها، سواء الانفلونزا او سواء النيمونيا فاكسين. So regarding the testing, who gets tested usually? Does everybody needs to get testing? Because we hear a lot of invitation over social media and all kind of media. We need to increase our testing capacities. We need to increase our testing. So does it benefit the outcome? And again, my first part of the question is who needs to get tested?
There are various kinds of testing for COVID-19. The first kind that has been introduced is testing for active infection or for the presence of the virus in a person. That's usually done by a PCR polymerase chain reaction on a nasopharyngeal swab, a swab that's stuck into the nose all the way to the back, twirled around a little bit, left there for maybe 60 seconds. That's the way that it's supposed to be done. and then taken out and sent for this testing. It's very sensitive test. So that's the test that we would use to determine whether someone has right now infection with COVID-19. And that's the test that is being offered in many medical centers and in many drive-by testing areas to some patients. That testing is helpful to physicians to taking care of patients because they know whether or not a patient right at that time has COVID-19. The one caveat, that test is not completely, there are false
That was my next question.
Negative tests.
How do you see the false negative and false positive rate?
We don't know what the rates are. The test manufacturers all say that they have great sensitivity, meaning that the virus is present, it will be detected. But I understand there was some information that I heard recently that the rapid test that was being done with the result that would come back very quickly was found to be less sensitive, meaning there would be more false negatives. It was only, say, 90% sensitive. There would be 10% false negatives. Mm-hmm. So that was concerning because they would miss people. They would give people a false sense of security. The other tests are reportedly more sensitive, but they're the best thing that we have. You need to, as a physician, medical provider, you need to take the result of the test. You need to interpret that result rather than have complete confidence in that result.
Who needs to get tested? And increasing test capacity would help.
So anyone, if we had enough testing available, then anyone with symptoms, anyone who was in contact with anyone with symptoms would get tested for the presence of the virus, and then people that were sick enough to go in the hospital would be hospitalized and have whatever management strategies for their infection, and people that were infected but not sick enough to be in the hospital would self-quarantine and monitor themselves for 14 days.
But screening asymptomatic people would benefit the outcome?
If we had enough tests, it might. If you could do this directed testing strategy where people that were at high risk, having been in contact with someone who was sick or with COVID-19, could be tested. I'm not sure that testing everyone at this one particular time would be helpful, though it would certainly tell us how many people were actively infected at a particular time. A negative test now does not mean that you won't have a positive test a week from now. And if someone has been exposed, their test may not be positive yet. There's an incubation period of 14 days, sometimes perhaps more. So but I think if people are concerned about their own status, especially if they're having symptoms, it would be very reasonable for them to have the test, if we had enough tests available. If a physician thinks that a person needs to be tested, then a person should be tested. I believe that almost anyone that comes in the hospital with any disease process whatsoever should be tested, both to determine whether that disease process is related to COVID and to determine whether they're asymptomatically infected, to protect healthcare workers, to protect other people, and protect the patient, him or herself.
هي برضو سؤالي دكتور هومنز كان عن مين اللي محتاج يعمل التست ده. قال لي في الوقت الحالي اللي عنده أي أعراض ممكن تكون يعني concerning إن هو يكون عنده كورونا فيروس، لو حد عنده أي او كان مخالط لبعض الناس اللي كان عندهم كورونا فيروس، ده مهم ان احنا نعمل له تيست. سالته انه في بعض الدعايه الكتير جدا اللي بتقول محتاجين نزود التيست ونحاول ان احنا يعني ناخد يعني ان احنا نختبر او نعمل التيست ده لكل الناس. فقال لي في الاول كان في بعض الكونسيرنز انه في حاجه اسمها الفولس بوزيتيف او الفولس نيجاتيف ريت، وقال لي انه دول في البدايه كان عليهم كونسيرن. لحد دلوقتي مش عارفين نحدد كفاءه التيست اللي احنا بنعمله بالظبط. بعض الحاجات بتقول انه كفاءه التيست ده بتوصل ل 90%، معنى كده انه في 10% من اللي عندهم المرض هيطلعوا بشكل سلبي، وده طبعا هيبقى شيء سيء. او انه بعض الناس اللي عندهم التيست يطلعوا يعني سلبي، فبالتالي لسه مش عارفين نحدد كفاءة التست لحد دلوقتي بشكل كبير. قال لي انه حتى لو احنا عملنا تست دلوقتي وانت طلعت ما عندكش اي اعراض، مش معنى كده ان انت بعد كذا يوم او بعد اسبوع ما تبقاش بوزيتيف، لانه ده يعني ملوش علاقه بده. ففكره ان كل واحد يجي تيستد ما بتنفيش ان هو يبقى ممكن يطلع بوزيتيف بعد كده.
Now I want to say before, sorry to interrupt you, that this is kind of a controversial issue,
right.
And hopefully my responses reflect the policies that are in place in the Department of Health Services of Los Angeles, or my facility, the Los Angeles County USC Medical Center, and the policies of the Keck School of Medicine of USC. But they're my opinions, and they're my personal opinions on these matters, and are not necessarily the policy of my two employers.
Right. I have a question here regarding the vaccines, because we heard about those two vaccines.
Can I go back to the testing question? So sorry that I have limited time, but there's the other form of testing is also going to be very important, which is testing for antibodies to COVID-19. So testing to see.
Yeah, go ahead.
Antibodies are proteins that the body makes in response to a particular infection that he or she has had. And there are now, and that's another way we have of testing to see whether someone has had an infection in the past. And antibody testing for COVID-19 is being rolled out or being tested now as a research test. But if we could have that test available as a clinical tool with a high degree of reliability, we would know, someone could know whether or not he'd been infected before, he or she had been infected before. We would know the rate of infection in the population. If being previously exposed led to some level of immunity, then we would know how many people in our population are immune, and therefore what to expect in the future in terms of whether the epidemic could come back. Because anyone who has not been infected with the COVID-19 presumably is still susceptible and could be infected in the future.
Reinfected again.
Not reinfected, but infected in the future.
Again. Okay.
Someone who has not been infected before.
Okay.
That's a big question now. The question whether someone who is has been infected with COVID-19 is immune to future infection with the same virus. And that's still, Dr. Fauci would tell you that that's still up in the air. It's not known yet. It has to be looked at.
Okay.
But I think that it most likely means that the person will have a decreased chance of getting infected, or a disease which is not as severe as the disease if he or she hadn't been infected before.
What do you think about, because I get those questions here, and it seems like people from New York are asking about the convalescent serum, the antibodies, as a treatment?
Well, that's a whole different matter. That goes into treatment. It appears that in some cases, giving people serum of someone who's had the infection in the past may lead to improvement of the patient and may be life-saving in some cases, but this is a strategy, and that's been effective with other diseases in the past, but it is a treatment which is still being tested in controlled studies.
برضو تكملة للترجمة بتاعت الإجابة بتاعت دكتور هومنز، إنه قال إنه في أنواع تانية من التست بنقدر نعملها، وهي إن إحنا بناخد الأنتي بوديز أو نعرف إذا كان في أنتي بوديز في الجسم ولا لأ، أو أجسام مضادة، وده معناه إنه حصل انفكشن في مرحلة ما. مش معنى وجود الأجسام دي إنه مش هيحصل انفكشن تاني، ولكن قال إنه ممكن الانفكشن اللي بعده يبقى أقل شوية في الأعراض، ولكن ده ما بينفيش فكرة إنه اللي جاله الفيروس مرة مرة مش معناه إنه ممكن بيجيله تاني. سألته كمان على فكرة العلاج بالبلازما والأجسام المضادة، فقال لي إنه ده اتعمل في فيروسات قبل كده، ولكن برضه مش معناه إنه ممكن ينفع في حالة الكورونا فيروس، لأنه زي ما أنا قلت حاجات كتيرة أو زي ما هو قال حاجات كتيرة up in the air في الهواء بنتعلمها عن الفيروس ده بشكل كبير جدا.
But just to say, I'm saying that it needs to be tested in studies.
Right.
On the other hand, we're in a desperate situation with a disease that's very severe for which there is no known effective treatment. So it's very reasonable, especially in desperate situations with a patient who doesn't have any other options, to try that, to try giving convalescent serum or to use other treatments which have a chance of being helpful, as long as they're not, even if the treatment may in some cases be harmful, if it's thought that the benefit will exceed the risk for the particular patient, in the desperate situation it is reasonable to do it. So convalescent serum is one
of the options.
One of the options in that situation.
If I can get quick answers for the next 4 or 5 questions, because like time flies by. So what do you think about the DHS studies regarding the temperature can kill the virus that was published 2 days ago in one of conference briefing for President Trump?
The temperature, that means the external temperature of the virus that's present on surfaces, may lead to the virus being killed, inactivated more quickly than at cooler temperatures. That certainly is possible. The hope is that warmer weather will lead to decreased transmission of virus and a decrease of the curve. That certainly is possible, and we hope that it's possible. It's certainly with influenza in the spring and summer, influenza diminishes for reasons that we don't completely understand. That may be possible with this, but and we do know that fever also is a way that the body has of helping to fight off infection that's not completely effective. But heating someone or trying to do something that would increase the temperature of inside someone's body or in particular areas of someone's body to get rid of the virus is, I don't believe, a viable treatment.
But I'm talking about killing the viruses on the surfaces, like with
on surfaces. Sure, I think it's not clear as yet what will happen. The virus still will be viable on surfaces for hours if a surface is at 80 or 90 degrees. Is at a high temperature, say my car out in the parking lot at noon when it's 90 degrees out, that will most likely kill virus that's on the surface of the car. But that doesn't mean that it will get rid of virus that's sitting in your house or sitting in other areas that are not in direct sunlight or at high heat.
Okay. The other questions, and if I can get quick answers for them, although I know like we can answer them in depth. There is 2 theories behind the virus. One is like it's a natural virus, was transmitted from bats to intermediate host to a like human being, and the other one it's a lab-made virus. Which one do you think it's more valid?
I don't. The second one is just speculation. It's clear to me that this was a virus of bats that was transmitted to humans when humans came in contact with bats. It's believed that happened in the live market in Wuhan, China, where bats were sold as food. There's many examples of live markets throughout the world, and many of those animals in those markets do transmit infection to humans. Ebola is another example. HIV may have been transmitted to humans in such a way.
Dr. Homans, do you think we'll go back to normal life soon? Go back shaking hands and hugs and...
Not anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
And not anytime... who knows what will happen 5-10 years from now. But I think it seems likely that this is going to be around for a while, and that we will have to take measures to protect ourselves more than we were doing before.
Thank you so much. That was like a shocking answer for some people who hope to listen. That
I don't know for a fact. That's my speculation. I don't know that for a fact. But so far, even in New York, even in China, no more than 10% of the population has antibodies to COVID-19. It's still circulating. The swine flu from 10 years ago is still circulating in the world.
Okay. هي آخر سؤالين لدكتور هومنز. السؤال الأولاني كان في نظريتين إنه ده انتقال طبيعي من الخفافيش للإنسان، قال لي أو إنه ده مصنع في لاب. قال لي إن هو بيميل للشكل الأولاني من النظرية، إنه تطور طبيعي لفيروس اتنقل من حيوان لهوست في النص الإنسان. سؤالي الأخير لأنه ده جالي كتير جدا، هل حضرتك من يعني تتوقع إنه إحنا ممكن نرجع لحياتنا الطبيعية قريب؟ قال لي إجابة قاطعة إنه مش في الوقت القريب خالص إن إحنا ممكن نرجع لحياتنا الطبيعية. فبالتالي يعني لازم نفضل ناخد الميجرز اللي بتخلينا محميين قدر الإمكان، نلبس الماسك، الجوانتيات قدر الإمكان معظم الوقت، وأهم من ده كله إن إحنا نقعد في البيت. Dr. Homans, it was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much. It was very informative as usual, and we hope to have you soon again in White Coat discussing more issues about COVID-19.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate
thank you
the
so
opportunity.
much. بشكر حضراتكم شكرا جزيلا. فعلا كان عندنا أسئلة أكتر، يعني ضعف اللي احنا سألناه له، وأنا آسف في أسئلة كتير جات لنا. يعني أوعد حضراتكم أن أنا هسأله معظم الأسئلة دي وارجع لحضراتكم بإجابات على صفحتنا الرئيسية. وأنا عارف أنه كتير من حضراتكم قالوا لي بلاش نذكر أسماء، فهتبقى الإجابات شخصية بالرد على المسجات دي. بشكر حضراتكم شكر جزيل على حسن المتابعة، ونشوفكم حلقة جديدة من وايت كوت السبت الجاي.